Okay. Anybody have any questions from yesterday? Anybody have any questions from yesterday? Say yes or say no, so that we can start with our success stories. Yesterday we discussed about resume writing. You know, the key part of the resume writing was on the success stories. So if we could start with that, then we need to do a communication thing, which is a lot in detailed stuff. Okay. So you guys have no question, no sir, to responses I got. Let me then start with the questions piece. There's some message. Okay. Fair enough.
Excuse me, sir. I'm Jeremy.
Jermia, tell me, Jermia.
As if yesterday we were discussing that we need to have such a format of having these many rows, like you have given the objective, aim. So
Correct.
if I feel that I don't have a particular kind of thing that is not like you have mentioned, so can I take that line, that topic away from the resume?
Yes, you can always take it. So what happens when I put it across, I try to put everything which could suit to everybody. There might be a couple of things which you can remove it. For example, the experience, the current employment, or the older employment which we talk about, right? Earlier employment. You can take few things which you feel it is not your no, it's not there. That's not at all a problem. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, done. So let's start with the success stories pieces, what I was talking about. Now, yesterday, if you have observed, in many places, I was talking about success stories. You should talk about your strength couple of times, and how do you build that and things like that. See, couple of things that I've just said yesterday. I just want to remind so that we are in the same page. That interviewer normally doesn't have a lot of questions. They search questions in you, and you making the resume like a question sheet will help them get questions from there so that they ask. Now the entire game is when they ask the questions that you already know, you would have prepared the answers for that so that you can tell them well. I also told you that the entire interview goes like, how many, say the answers you give, they like it, your points are going up, they do not like it, maybe a little bit coming down, then they like it, little go, and that's how the end it goes. So as many initial questions, right, you answer them the way they really wanted it, your chances of getting through the interview is much higher. For example, say 5 right good answers you have given, and then next 2 not so good answer, it's still okay. But first 2 answers not very good, and then rest 5 also, it is very difficult to come up, because people unfortunately would make an impression already out of it. So we need to be very careful how is the initial things done, right? We would tomorrow when we'll talk about few questions that people ask and how do you answer, we will cover all that, like how would you answer the initial things. Now, success stories are your own stories. Now, see it like this. Imagine you are making a movie for yourself. Who you think will be the hero of your movie? What do you think? You can type in the chat. If you are making a movie, who do you think should be the hero of that movie? Anybody want to give an answer? Myself? Okay. Mohammed says myself, ourselves. Very good. So you understand this. In your movie, in your life, in your movie, you are the hero, right? So success stories are the stories where you are hero. And you would have been hero in many places. So what happens many a times, because it is so regular and so normal, we just don't consider few things. Now, success stories has to be a place where you have a problem or you have a challenge that you have seen, accepted, understood, and you have solved it. successfully you have solved it and you have come out of it. Now that's exactly how it works. And each words which you use will be connected to this kind of a stories. Now your success story is your life. From your life, you need to see which all places you have been successful. Don't worry that it needs to be on the work only, or it needs to be on project only. No, it is not like that. People see multiple things in a person to work with. Don't always try to see a story where you were the leader every time, right? Because say for example, when you're trying to get into a job which is at an entry level, they want to see whether you will fit in their existing team or not. So what they will see is, are you flexible enough? Are you going to adjust with people? Are you going to learn from people? Are you open for learning? Now, open for learning is a very, very important skill, right? That people would search in. Now, if the interviews which I take as an HR and L&D professional, my first key thing always I check is, can we teach this person? See, many a times people close doors to learn new things. They are not right for me if I recruit somebody. So I need to know that they're open. How does I understand that? Is, when you tell me your success stories where you have actually don't know something, but you have spent time there, you have learned there, and you have finally done. Now, let me tell you a couple of stories here and there so that you can connect to your own life, and then you see how it can work out with. I was telling this story in my other session. So it so happened when I came to do my MBA in Bangalore, 19 years back almost, right? I don't know a single word of English. I don't even know how to stand there and introduce myself. I was like standing there like a big fool and big failure where I don't even know how to introduce myself. And then my professor there told me that in 5 years time, think that you can train people in business communication. That was my communication teacher, Dr. Arnold Mascarenhas. He said in 5 years time, you should be able to train students this subject. I thought, what a joke. How can this person even think that a person who can't talk a word of English can really train people? It didn't took 5 years, it took 3 years. I've joined back the same institution to ensure I teach there. They gave me a subject called as strategic management, and I told them that if you give me business communication, I will join. And I joined there as my first employment, not first employment actually, my third employment, where I was teaching the same subject to people when the professor is still there, but he was a visiting faculty and I was a permanent faculty. So I was like given that subject. Now this is a simple story of my own life, but do you know how successful it is? Somebody who do not really know how to stand in front of a person and talk today is able to train people on the same subject. I can make 100 people. That's my objective. Even this true story is what I'm my living reality. My entire objective of starting an L&D company is this. And I am not trying to teach people who are at a hi-fi college from a hi-fi background and stuff. That's not what my problem. My thing is the way I have come up, the troubles which I faced, I don't want others to face. I'm training them. Now, this is my success story, right? This is because it's a 17, 18 years story, which I'm talking about. You might feel pretty large and pretty big. There could be very, very simple things. Like, for example, a project work that you are being doing. Try to find a success story in your project work. It's a story. It depends on the core thing of the story, this core writing of the story, and then the other masalas that you add little, other flavors that you add little to make it more enriching. And end of the story should talk about your strengths, talk about how you will fit well in the role, talk about their requirement, and it shows that how you suit to that. That's the idea. Okay, it could be something like this. I do not really know how to ride a cycle, but my first cycle learning cycle, the way I try to learn a cycle, could be a small enough story. How you could put the project story, which I was talking about. In your story, there has to be some piece where you will see that you do not know something, but you have put effort to learn that and implement it and exhibit it. Now that's a wonderful success story, which talks about your commitment, talks about your learning capabilities, talks about your focus, talks about your hard and smart working, so many things. Like I was telling you yesterday, in my heading, I used to write smart working. Right now, how are you smart working is what people would ask. So I used to tell this story at that time. Like before I have even come for doing my MBA, when I was back home in Orissa, my father used to run a small business, and my job is to ensure I collect money every day in the evening. So it's like products are given in the morning, evening I go with a small book for everybody and I collect. Someone gives 100 rupees, somebody gives 200 rupees, and I collect it and I come back. Now, when I collect and come back, if I get 1,000 rupees collection, my dad used to pay me 10 rupees. If I get 1,500 rupees collection, my dad will still pay me 10 rupees. If I get 2,000 rupees collection, then my dad will pay me 20 rupees. Okay, now this is how it happens. Slowly what I try to do with our customers, I see but some days I get 800 rupees, I will not get any money. Someday I get say 1,500 rupees, I get 10 rupees only. 2,000 is very difficult to get. So what I have done, I have spoke to all my customers in a way that every day I collect 1,000 rupees minimum. And also I'll ensure that I do not collect much more than 1,000 because I want them to pay it next day. So that every day my 10 rupees keep coming, right? It's not like today I'll work too hard and ensure that I get all the money and tomorrow I might not have anything. But in this way, what happens in a month, I used to ensure that 30,000 I collect at least, and then I'll also get 300 bucks. I'm talking about 20 to 25 years back. 300 rupees in a month is a lot of money. Right now, we might feel it's just one movie. Right. So now this is my success story, which I used to tell then when I say how I was doing smart working. Right. Now this will lead to so many other questions. They will ask me, oh, but is it this right that, you do your like this with your father only, that, even if you can collect. Now I have an answer for that. I tell them that, yeah, because the targets, what is achieved has to be done. Now, slowly what happened after that, I continue my success story as a second success story, saying that now my dad started saying that for every 1,000 rupees, he gives me 10 rupees. But if touches 1,500 rupees, he'll give me 20. It touches 2,000 rupees, he will give me 30. So what I do, I try to push. So depending upon the kind of this, roles I have, or, the talks they have, I keep changing my strategies accordingly. Now, this shows me how flexible I am, how strategic thinking I am, how smart working I am. Are you all getting my story? Right. If people, you have understood what I'm talking about, the success story here, if you have understood the concept, type yes. Yes. Very good. Wonderful. This is important. Now, what you need to do is spend that little time. Where is it that you have done small things that can become as a success story that you talk about? And people will ask you. When they ask you this thing, you should say. When they don't ask you, while answering, right? When tomorrow we will talk about interviewing skills, I'll tell about a concept called as tail answering. I will teach you over there how you will answer in a way that they'll ask you the next question and you can tell this. So the entire idea is minimum of 3 success stories you should have. And you should be able to speak all these 3 success stories. If you are smart enough, you will keep 5-6 success stories in your bag, but a minimum of 3 you use. Now, stories are real life things. When you say real life things, that's when the people understand. Otherwise, companies also know in half an hour, 45 minutes of an interview, how much they will know about you. They will try as much as possible. That's the reason you see so many people after getting into a job, they leave in 2 months, 3 months, or they can't perform. Company feels wrong hiring happened. So many such problems are there because in that little time, how much they can do. So the right way to put is stories. Stories, when you talk, it is silently going to pass all your strengths to them. And you should be smart enough to select what stories to do. So the good preparation is the one that when you get a call, you have sent a general resume. They say that send me the updated one. You say, okay, sir, please send me your job description or JD of the role. When you get the JD, go through the JD carefully and see what is it that they're looking. If they are looking for a work like this, to do this kind of a work, what skills and what competencies they should be looking for. Now, whatever skills and competency they are looking for, ensure you give them that. Right? Ensure you give them that through your stories. So your stories end should always be a kind of a learning, a kind of an information for them, where they feel, okay, this is the kind of a person that I am trying to hire. And that's how you will increase your chances of getting the job. That's how you'll be able to crack an interview, right? Can you all sit and spend some time by yourself and create at least 5 success stories? At least 5. Can you all do it? Say yes or say no if you. Arvind says yes, he can create 5 stories. Who else do you think can create 5 stories? Is your life of 20, 22, 25, 30, 40, whatever age you are, can you not find 3 to 4 success stories that those are real stories? Now, why I'm pushing for real? Some people might get somewhere this thought, how about I create a story which is there? When you create a story which is not your true thing, right? People will catch you when you explain. That I will talk to you today itself in the communication piece. People will catch you if the stories are not real. At least the core of the story, say 60-70% of the story has to be real. The other things you can add up to make it little more interesting and suiting to the right thing. But the core of the story has to be real. Right? Did you understand what I'm talking about? Success stories to build credibility. If you have understood, then say yes. Yes. Wonderful. Right. So what I would request you all people is write your stories. Write your stories. I would be happy if people, if you people can share your stories, sometime during our sessions, because only when you share and as many number of times you share your story, that much fluent you will be in your own story. So when you talk to an interviewer, your life story should come like a smooth flow. It shouldn't be like, I'm thinking and stuff, because it's your own story, right? And the best part is when somebody talks about their own story, they are super energetic. They just crack it. Good enough? Should we continue our next set of, of topic that I was talking is on effective communication skills. Now, when I say effective communication skills, importance of effective communication is basically, to understand and connect with the interviewer. That's the first reason why you really want to have, an effective communication. By the way, do you people understand what do you mean by effective communication? You know what is effective? Okay, let me say it. Effective is something that works. Okay, I am not trying to teach you people English here. I think English is just a language, like Hindi, like Telugu, like Kannada, like Urdu, like Bengali, like any other language. English is also a language. But yes, in the work and business culture, because everybody uses English to communicate, they see a lot of it. But communication is not just language. Communication is much more than that. When we say effective communication is like communication that works. Now, think it like this. Say 2 of you people, say for example, just to take example, say Arvind and Swaroop both have stomach pain and I'm a doctor and they have come to me and I have given them a medicine. Now, both of them has taken the same medicine. Say Swaroop's stomach pain has reduced. Arvind's stomach pain has not reduced. Now tell me, was the medicine effective or not effective? Was the medicine effective or not effective? The medicine is effective for Swaroop, but the medicine is not effective for Arvind. That's how it is. So just because you communicate something, that doesn't mean that it will be effective everywhere. If you can communicate something to somebody and that they understand and they respond to you accordingly, then your communication is effective. Otherwise, it is just a communication, right? It's used to maintain self-expression, expression of one's feeling, thoughts, ideas. How do you, it should express that. Clearly deliver your message. Like if my message is something like this, if I give it to you, you should get it like this. But imagine so many times when a message like this is given, people get it in 10 different ways. That is the reason you would have seen people will tell you, did you understand? You would have seen it in your house when they ask you to bring something and then you forget it. Then your mom might come back and scold you. Do you even understand what I was trying to tell you? You know, we all would have experienced. This is basically, they communicated, but that was not effective. Every person is different. Every mind is different. Everybody's understanding is different. Your smartness is how will you ensure the communication that you give is understood by them. It works for them. Then it becomes effective. That's basically overall about it, right? You need to make sure that the receiver is involved. The interviewer is involved in the conversation. If they're not involved, they're not interested what you're talking, then it really doesn't work there. Broadly to say, there are 4 different kinds of communication. Here I'm not going to spend a lot of time. You would know about these things. We call it as verbal, non-verbal, written, and visual. Verbal are the words that we speak. Non-verbal are our body language, gestures, and other things that we do. Written communications are, in your case, say a resume that you are giving, or a covering letter that you are giving. Those are written things. And visual references are more like, say, if you have put an image somewhere, like this PPT which you are seeing is basically a visual reference. Communication normally happens in these 4 major modes. For you, when you go to your interview, you will have the first 3. Your verbal, your non-verbal, and your written. You need to master there. Written is the easiest part of it because you have prepared your resume before and you checked it, cross-checked it, like all the do's and don'ts what I taught yesterday. Or you prepared yesterday. You need to follow those things. And when it comes to body language, you need to learn a little bit that we will discuss slowly today. Even we will discuss a little bit of how verbal communication needs to be done. So to me, when I say overall effective communication, you need to learn these 4 or 5 things. Positive and negative communication, we'll understand what it is. You need to learn what is an effective listening. There is an art of listening, right? We all don't really understand. I'll teach you that. Clarity and confidence we need to know, and we also need to learn about body language. So my objective to teach you people all these things is, when you go in interview, you use these things, like how you have used a resume to get into a job, how you will use your stories to talk. Now, I told you about success stories and you will prepare these stories. Now at this stage, you will learn how you can communicate that story to people, right? Not just anything. And this communication is about the answers that you give it to them, the kind of questions they ask, or sometimes the questions that you ask to your interviewer. Let's understand. So the 4 types which we're talking about, right? It depicts the communication style and the way you communicate with your customers. A huge impact, right, on their opinion will be played, like how you're actually using it. So there are 2 major things. One is called as a positive communication and another one is called as a negative communication. So listen to this carefully. Positive communication and negative communication are different from positive message and negative message, right? Let me tell one more time. Positive communication and negative communication are different from positive message and negative message. For example, say you want to come inside say we are doing a classroom training today and somebody is late, they want to come, right? They said, can I come inside the class? Now the answer as a trainer, because you're already late, I can say no, or I can say yes. Don't think that no is a negative communication and yes is a positive communication. No or yes here are messages. Now, positive communication is something which makes you seem friendly, smart, and helpful. A negative message can also be given in a positive communication style, and that is what you need to learn. Right? See, for every question you can't say yes, or I can do it. But the way you say it will change the negative thing into positive thing. For example, the same way somebody comes to my class and they says, can I come in? I say, I wish I could allow you, but because it is half done and it will disturb the other class, can you please miss from this class and come back next? See, the message is still no. But the way I said, makes people don't feel, they'll definitely feel sad because they are not allowed, but they don't feel bad about it. They don't feel angry about it because they know it is their mistake. For example, this when I used to train people in companies, they say that customer asks for a 50% discount. So you should say yes because it's positive communication, and if you say no, it becomes negative. No. If you say yes, then you are a fool. That you can't give a 50% discount to somebody. So when customer asks, "Can I get a 50% discount?" People say, "I wish I can give you a 50% discount, but sir, this is what right now we have, and we need to manage." See, when a negative message to be put in a positive communication style, it could be a lengthier sentence. You need to explain why this is being done, but that's a very good way to do it. In your interview, when they ask you a question, or when you tell your success story, when you people all said that, you all can write 3 to 5 success stories for yourself, write the success story in positive communication, not in negative communication. There might be a rejection. People might say that, no, you have not done good, but then still how you have taken it positively and you have come out is how that should be there. So when you talk to anybody, it should be in that way. See, if you want to observe your own life, after this session for half an hour, take a paper and pen and then keep talking to people and note down how many times you have given a negative response to people. You will be surprised. More than 80% of the times when we talk to general public, we give negative things, and that's how our lives are. Now put an effort to talk to everybody in a positive communication style. You see how things will change. You see how interesting people will be, how closer they would come, how interesting you will become as a person. It is important to practice that. Now that's about positive communication. The second piece I was talking about is listening skills. We have pretty little time here. I would not be able to do the activity, but as such, in your mind, if you think of 3 people whom you respect most in your life. So don't tell me like Mahatma Gandhi, right? Whom you might not know personally. Right? Think of those people whom you know personally, like maybe your teacher, maybe your boss, maybe your parents, maybe your brother, maybe your friend, someone. 3 people in your life whom you respect most. And the other side, list down 10 people who you think are good listeners according to you. When you think of 10 people who you think they're good listeners, you will observe most of the times those 3 people who are there in the, you respect most will also fall in this list. Does they fall in this list for you? If yes, then say yes. If no, then say no. Yes. Okay. Arvind says yes. So my point here is you respect most in your life those people who listen to you. When people listen to you, you respect them. Now tell me, if you want others to respect you, what do you think you should do? You should listen. You should know how to listen. You should learn the art of listening. And in an interview, you will be judged very closely that how good listener you are, because listening shows patience. Whether you are there, you can understand, you can listen to the instruction, how are you understanding the instruction. So there is a way how that needs to be done, which we will go through now. When I say effective listening, right? Effective listening means mindful and actively hearing and attempting to comprehend the meaning spoken by the customers or your interviewers in your place. So the difference which everybody would teach normally, hearing and listening, what is the difference and things like that. Listening is where your focus is there, your concentration is there. You're listening so carefully that you know the message in its completeness, not just in part of it, right? Listening helps to absorbing information, acknowledges that you have heard and understood. To increase our understanding is how these things are required. See, if you understand the question right, you will answer it right. Even if you don't know the answer, you will tell you don't know in a right way, in a positive communication way. But if you don't listen properly, they are asking something and you're saying something and you feel I have done. See, interviewer is not only checking whether the answer is right or wrong. They know that, people know a little bit and they see how much they're open to learn. They see what is their attitude. They see how they're understanding the question, how they are comprehending it and how they're putting it. That's why there are three things that you need to see. How do we do it? Is basically listening, comprehending, and responding. Now let me explain you these three words. When is a listening, this is the first essential step of ability to perceive sound and attentiveness and concentration. When I say, so you are like focusedly listening, you listen to every word that they are saying, you have tried to do. And comprehending is basically understanding in your mind, right, what the interviewer has tried to convey. This activity can be described as observing or grasping, right? We use our knowledge, experience, and perception. So basic idea is, when you listen to something, you are thinking about it, right? Ki, acha, this is how the question, and that's this part. And when you think about it, you need to bring it back, and that's called responding. So these all actions happens very fast. Let me quickly try to tell you how quick it happens. So that it is virtual, I can't hear you all people. You need to be doing it by yourself and tell me how did it happen. If I ask you all people, your names, you all know. Your parents' names, you all know. If I ask you, who is your first teacher? If I ask you, where was your first school? Or if I ask you, which color dress you purchased on your 5th birthday? Do you understand what happened? You might still know the answer, but your mind took more time for the last 3-4 questions, and your mind took no time at all to give the first couple of answers. Is it yes or no? Type yes if you have, if you feel this is how it happens. Yes. So my point here is, something which is very close, which very attentive, like your name, your parents' name, which school you studied, it quickly comes. But if I ask you, who is your first teacher? Oh my God, you need to think about it. If I ask you 5th birthday ka dress, you need to, because so many birthdays come, so many dresses you have purchased. So that the time of thinking is basically comprehending. And the way you're responding to me by saying yes is your response, right? So you took some time to listen, to comprehend, and respond. Now that's how basically listening has to be done. You need to comprehend it, and then you need to put it back. Okay. There are actually 4 types of listening. Let me quickly tell you those 4 types. Can you believe listening may also there are types, like how we talk? And we do sometimes little mistake. The first type of listening is called as appreciative listening. So this happens when somebody prizes you. Like for example, they say, your parent said when you have passed the exam and you came, your father might say, wonderful, such a good son or daughter I have. They've finished the course. I don't know, I'm sure some of you would have got appreciations in your life, either by your parents or by your boss or by your teacher. How do you listen to the appreciative listening? Imagine you are appreciating me, okay, and I'm like putting a face like this. Doesn't work, right? An appreciative listening is where your body language comes front, you're involved, you have a smile on your face because somebody is appreciating, and then you nod your head and you accept it. When someone appreciates really, how you listen is a very different compared to an empathetic listening. Imagine your friend comes and says, COVID, my grandmother expired. How do you say? Oh, your expression changed, smile gone, eyebrows up, and then you're concerned about them. Imagine at that moment you are doing appreciative listening. Oh, grandmother expired. This gives a very wrong message. So empathetic listening is that way of listening. Comprehensive listening is like listening the entire thing in very careful way. Like how you people are right now listening to me in this session is comprehensive listening. You're trying to collect information, and time to time I give a small gap and ask you people to type yes or no, is when I'm giving you that little rest to your brain also, and giving little work to your hand, and you are collecting more and more information, more and more learning from me. That's basically comprehensive. Critical listening is something which is like, you listen something which is not been said to you also. For example, your interview is done and you're asking, how did you do your interview? And they are talking to themselves. You observe them and you know it, right? Whether you got a job or not. No, that is critical listening. Trying to listen something which is not even spoken. Like when your boss will talk about your appraisal, that is critical listening. You understand? Where you're like so carefully listening, you're trying to understand the words which are not even spoke, but connecting about the other lines that they have said. Now, there is no one type of listening that should always follow. It doesn't work like that. It's always a mix of all these four things. A smart person will understand, like when you tell a story to your interviewer and then they appreciate, Are, that's wonderful. You need to have that smile and this because you're giving interviewer still so serious like this. This is a very wrong way of doing. You will lose your marks there in their mind. For example, when they say that in our company we had a problem where a lot of our employees are not very trustworthy, you can't be like, not trustworthy employees, then I will get in. No, their appreciative doesn't work. There you suddenly need to bring the empathetic one. Oh my God, why such thing happens? Concern needs to be shown. Comprehensive is where they're explaining, like imagine in the end of the interview they're going to ask you, is there any questions that you want to ask? And you will ask them a question that maybe how are you seeing your company in next 3-4 years, and then they're explaining the strategy and you are like not interested. You lost everything, that impression you have made. You need to comprehend because they're trying to tell you about how they are feeling. Right? Critical listening, I told you already, right? In the interview, when when you answer something and then they respond you back, or they ask you second question on the first which you're answering, you need to have a critical listening there. Ki, Acha, where is this direction going, so that I'll answer them accordingly. Right? That's basically 4 types of listening. So we have some tips that you need to keep in mind while listening. The first one is give full attention, right? Full attention. So while listening, doing one job, do one job. When you're in the interview, forget about what your phone is there, what others are doing, what is other thing. Even the entire world is burning. Forget it for a moment. Focus on that person, right? Give full attention. That's how it works. Maintaining an eye contact. Maintaining eye contact is a very confident sign, right? It's a very good sign. Now there is this question that normally comes in interviews. For example, there are 3-4 interview panel, and they're interviewing you. Whom should you see? Okay. Now, for example, the first person asked you the question, so you should look at it. And what about the second and third person? They will feel, Ocha, ignored. You might say that, no, first ask me the question. If the second one asks, I will look at him. That's not how it needs to be done. So when somebody asks a question, your eye contact should start with that person. And then once you connect it with him and once you talk to him, then you look at the other people also. And when you close the answer, you again come back to that person with whom you have started. This is a right way. If the answer is longer, then this can happen 2-3 times, but give an eye contact to everybody. Now, when you give an eye contact, remember your eye contact and staring are different, right? Connecting in a smooth way is different, and then staring people like is a very different. Don't stare at anybody. Just give them an eye contact. Don't bow down your head and talk. Look at them, look at their eyes and talk, and always keep that little smile. Let the interviewer finish before you begin to talk. When the interviewer is talking, don't talk. That's the rule for the listening thing. Let him completely finish, and then maybe a pause, a second, and then you respond back. Because sometimes what happens when they're asking question in the first half a line, you know what is the question and you know the answer and you're full enthusiastic. Hold on your enthusiasm until he finishes the question. That is how you show respect to people. So for example, if you are not listening to the full question and you're answering, as an interviewer, I will think that this person will not listen to others. He don't respect. He only thinks about his point, and which is not a good sign in a team. So keep that in mind. Listen for prominence details. So when they ask you a question or they comment to you about your answer, there are certain prominent, important details they give. Like in our company, we look for people who are, say, more trustworthy. Then you need to understand the next success story which you talk or next point that you put. You need to bring it to the interviewer that you are trustworthy. Right? Now that's why I said full attention there. You will be able to crack an interview if you go there with that mindset ki, okay, right now I have only this, and then I will do my best there. Okay, ask questions when given a choice. Don't just say, no, I have no questions, or don't ask silly questions like, how much is the salary? That they would have decided, right? Or they'll ask you how much you are expecting. That's a very different way of dealing negotiation. How many leaves do I get? That is anyway fixed for you. There is no separate thing. So don't ask for questions which are common for everybody in general. Try to ask questions to get more engaged with them, right? Try to ask questions to gauge the interviewer. How is he thinking? When you ask this question, say like, for example, how do you see me growing in the organization? The way they answer, right? If you are very critically listening to it, you will understand whether you got the job or not. Because when they select, you're selected, when they think in their mind that you're a good candidate, the way they explain is very different. And when they're not very sure, they will give you some lame answer. Then you should be active enough to ensure the balanced time of the interview. You do your best to get that. Until the interview is done, it's not like, you know, you lost it. You need to keep working for that. Focus solely on what the speaker is saying. When they're saying something, like I said, full attention, focus on the speaker who's saying. Like I told you, eye contact from one to another while you're answering. But when somebody is asking question, don't look here and there. Look to that person who is asking you the question until the full question is completed, right? Minimize internal distraction. I would say in the interview, just eliminate distractions. Distractions are basically your mobile phones. In between it rings, you get a message, you get a WhatsApp, you want to check, or you know, something else happened, the other person is talking to somebody, you know, you got distracted, somebody is bringing water there, you got distracted. When you there, you know, reduce all the disturbances. The next big thing is body language. Now, body language is a form of communication without words performed every day. You all do a lot of, everybody do it. Right, both consciously and subconsciously, we always do. I'm sure you understand when people talk, you know, so much of messages coming. If you can connect this, I say, good job done. And again, I say, good job done. Did you find any difference? Because it's an online class and you only can see till my hair, you don't know. The both sides, I told like this, good job done. Good job done. See, my voice might be same, but if my body language changed, do you understand the message? Completely changed. You might not do this big difference, but your body language sometimes gives them something which you might not want to give. So I'll tell you a secret about the body language. You can lie. You can lie. Your tongue can lie. Your body cannot lie. Your body doesn't know how to lie. That's exactly, you know, lie detective test. They put a lot of notes on your body and then they find out. Interviewer will also find out. That's the reason I told you in the beginning, your success stories should be your own stories. 60% your real stories, maybe 20-30% you add little masala to it to make it interesting and, you know, connecting to them. But the story has to be your real. Otherwise, they will find out that you are simply saying something to get, or they will ask you some other questions which you are not prepared, and that will lead you to some disaster. So ensure, understand this, body doesn't lie. So talk to them on those lines. Basic importance of a body language is to keep people attention. If for example, even if in this little place I'm trying to ensure my hands are used, I'm moving it in way, my eyesight is there, you know, my smile is there. It is just to ensure that, you know, I can keep people attention. Imagine I switch off my camera right now and you have an image here. You only see this slide for 10 minutes, I talk. Your learnings will be there, but very, very minimal. That's why when I ask you people also, if you're asking me a question, switch on your camera. Don't be camera shy. Look at me and talk. You would also know the kind of things that would happen. To create a good atmosphere, you need body language. You would have seen some room, some place when you go, you know, where people are all having very positive body language, you feel good there. Some people, like for example, sales have not happened and the sales manager is in the room, how he would be like one tiger roaming here and there, and you don't feel very safe and comfortable there. That's not a very good body language, right? In an interviewer, when you see that people are all sitting in back and then, you know, serious faces and they say okay, you suddenly feel the atmosphere doesn't allow to that. From your side, you need to ensure that you create a good atmosphere. How do you create a good atmosphere? A good smile will create. A warm welcome would create. A nice dress would create. Different things you do to ensure you create that atmosphere. We'll go a little more detail. Right? It is basically used to create more impact. Whatever you're saying, you say it with that, you know, impact, which will ensure things happen, not just by saying something. For example, you would have seen in my communication, whenever I say it is important, see now also it has come, this hand comes and says this is important. This is important and this is important. Both has a very different impact on your mind. Body language supports like that. That's the use of it. Right. So while you're talking, what's your body saying? Interviewer subconsciously reviews the countless signals you send. Say the moment they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, you start looking here and there. And this is just an hour's class. I can't give you so much details about it, but nevertheless, I'll tell you one secret. So when I ask a question to an interview, right, during whatever interviews I take, I see when you don't know the answer, you look up to recall, but your eyeballs will go either right side or left side, which happens unconsciously. You have no connect. But when eyeballs go to the right side, it basically is what you're thinking about what happened. But when it goes to the left side, it is more of you're trying to cook a story, which is not true. This is how people would observe. It's not like everybody would know this, but you will get the vibes. Similarly, I'm talking about this for a person who is right-handed. For a left-handed, it would be different, right? So when you cook a story, you look it in different direction. When you're thinking about something, you look in different direction. So there are so many such things which will pass people message, right? So your body language indicates, the following responses. Make the interviewer feel good about you. So if you give a positive body language, they will start feeling good about you. Make the interviewer believe you care for the job. When you're coming there, you're putting everything required for you to get the job. At the same time, you're not showing desperation, but you care for it. That I need this job because I know I can do my best over here. That's the point. And make the interviewer feel he or she can trust you. See, trust is a very important aspect. When somebody trusts you, they can give you a responsible position. They can give you responsible tasks to do. They can rely on your feedbacks. Every employer looks for how much trustworthy you are. So ensure in your success story, right? Like one story should lead to learnings, one story should lead to trust, one story should lead to productivity, or there can be one story which leads to all these three things. So that's how you basically put it across. Okay, so basically it comprises of gestures, stance, facial expression. Gestures is how you move your body and hands. Stance is how do you stand, how did you walk to your interview, did you pull the chair or did you request it for seat? And when you go out of the interview, ensure you put the chair back in the right position. Things like that is basically you do. Facial expression is your smile, active listening. Remember I told you different types of listening. So when a good news comes, they're appreciating, you have to have appreciative listening or critical listening. You need to use all these things, right? And eye contact, as I mentioned, you also plays an important role. So few tips to help you, your body language positive. One is posture. Always work on your posture, right? When you go to the interview, don't sit back like this, or don't sit with your legs crossed. An interview sit, and also don't sit in the corner of the chair, in the front of the chair. Sit where your back has proper, straight support, and your legs are touching the ground. Don't cross your legs. Keep the legs open, right? Now, that's how the posture it should be. The important thing is also how your hands are there. Your hands are pretty dangerous if you don't teach them what to do. They keep moving here and there. They pick something, they touch something, or they just do like this out of stress. They shouldn't do all these things. You need to ensure what your hands should do. Hands, rest them on your rest them on your thighs. Let it be there. Only when you talk something, you can use your hands. And when you use your hands to talk, you should not talk like, so this camera, I can only show this much. You should not move hands so wide. Imagine your hands are kind of connected to your, stomach. How much space do you have? Right? Don't walk like, a robo, but now if you relax, your hand should only move this much. That's all. It shouldn't go beyond that. That's basically how you do. Handshake. Handshake is important. Not everybody will give. That too, now Corona has come to forget about, nobody gives handshake. Maximum they do a namaste to you. But when you give a handshake, give them a firm handshake. Firm, when I say, it's not like bone crushing, neither it is like that light touch. It needs to be there. So the secret of handshake is, this portion of your hand, of two hands should meet that. And that's what the handshake is. When these two meet, That's basically what it needs to be, and couple of shakes. The pressure depends on the other person. The other person, if he is holding hard, you need to compensate to that. If they're holding soft, you need to hold soft to that. Try to do it in that way. Don't do it upper hand stuff, or don't do it a lower hand stuff. Do it a straight hand stuff. That's basically. Eye contact we discussed a lot. One thing you remember in eye contact, don't stare. Give a simple gaze. Affirmative movements are very important. Affirmative movements are like how you nod your head. Like when you say yes or no, right? Okay. Like, whatever your hands and your head, and those are all affirmative movements. Affirmative movements are interesting, are important to ensure you understand the message. When you don't understand, like how your eyebrows says, like, no, I didn't understand, or okay, I'm happy, or you have a smile. These expressions are affirmative movements, especially to say nodding the head in the right direction. Right? Some people say no in a different way, right? They can say no like this and yes like this. You need to know which culture, what is used. And slower. Your pitch, the way you talk, the words you use should comparatively be slower. Now, why I say slower? Because first of all, it depends on what speed you talk. Now, when in an interview or when in stress, we tend to talk much faster. Ensure you check it with your parents, your friends, what is your pace of words, because I'm not talking to you directly, otherwise I would have told you how each one talks. But it needs to be comparatively slower. You don't rush things. Don't be so fast in finishing something. It's okay. Spend your time slowly. When you are there completely. Now that's the important piece of it. There are certain things that you should never do, like checking your time. It's a very bad thing, okay? In an interview, if you check your time, it means you're bored. Your interviewer will do that. It means that the conversation is not happening interesting. You need to quickly, proactively start making it something interesting or, interactive by doing, asking a question or, saying something interesting story or involving them in the conversation. Don't look at time, right? Don't look at ground. This is all what we normally do. Or don't touch your face again and again. And don't pick something. Pick something, matlab you picked a pen or in a book and then you're doing, some stuff. Don't do all those things. Don't go too close to them also, and don't be like too far. Maintain that. Now we all have learned how to maintain social distancing, so And don't give a fake smile. Your smile has to be real. You know what's a fake smile? Like I'm very serious. Suddenly I'm like, you would see that in few hotels and all when you go. They just smile for you for namesake. Don't give a fake smile. They understand. And don't over blink. Right. These are very simple things. Why I have put it? Because when people get nervous, right, they do most of these things. Touching the face, picking on something, tapping. Tapping is like, you're like putting your hands like this, or, people get those noises and stuff like that. Whenever you feel nervousness, two things always keep in mind. Take a couple of heavy breaths. It will automatically come down. Number two, immediately after that, smile. Look at people and smile. If you want, after the training, go out and try this. Look at somebody and smile. You see, most probably they'll smile you back. Now look at somebody and say like this, they will maybe come to fight for you. The point what I'm trying to make is, when you give a smile to somebody, you will get a smile back. Now you want the atmosphere to be easy so that, people all involved. So you need to smile. You need to smile. When you smile, they'll also smile at you. Right? The next piece is basically clarity. Clarity. There could be some differences because of lack of clarity. We say things, but they don't come out clearly. To be clear, stop, think, and then proceed slowly. Now, this is an important thing, something to think about. See, everybody would be pushing you always in life that you have to be more confident. You have to be more confident. I'm telling you, don't be confident. If confidence comes without clarity, then you are in big trouble, right? Please understand it properly. Otherwise, you will blame me that this trainer is saying don't be confident. I'm saying confidence will automatically come, but you should be clear. Then automatically it comes. Little fear is good. I'll tell you. For example, I'll ask you people to cross a highway which has a lot of vehicles. And I tell you that, come on, you can do it. Yes, you can cross it. And I'll tie your eyes. You might be very confident to cross. Tell me the chances of your survival. But imagine you're not so confident, you're scared, but your eyes are open. Now you're clearly able to see everything. Your chances of survival is much higher. Maybe you have a little fear that vehicle will hit you, so you will walk accordingly. Same in the interview. Don't just go with overconfidence and, oh, I will do it. No, please be clear. What are they talking? How are they talking? How are they questioning? That will help you to add your other activities and things that you talk about, which will overall help you, right? So work on your clarity. If you are very clear about something, confidence is something that will automatically come, right? When your stories are right, when you tell the stories, confidence will automatically come. But what you have prepared for is the clarity of the stories. When your answers are prepared in a way where you know that you prepared very well, when you written your resume by yourself, you have clear about what every word is written. So confidence will automatically come. If you work only on confidence, then you took somebody's resume, throw it on them and try to sit confidently to give an interview. See, they're also not fools. People understand. So work on your clarity in life. Confidence will automatically come. That's what I said. Only confidence is disaster. Confidence only when it comes with clarity is of some use, right? That's important there. Okay. How do we get clarity in our verbal communication, right? You get clarity in your verbal communication when you do these two things properly. Number one, plan and prepare. What I'm asking you people till now, right, to push you people on, the way you are preparing your resume, your entire preparation. What I'm trying to do is basically I'm asking you to plan, right? When you plan, then you would be able to do it. What are the most important messages I want the interviewer to hear? Imagine if you have planned, like, what are the important messages I want my interviewer to hear? Then I will put that across. What are the most important details I need to share? If you have prepared that, okay, what details I need to share about me, you are, you get that clarity. What do I want, my interviewer to remember about me? All right. So these questions, what I'm saying, ask it to yourself when you're preparing for it and you see how well you do. A question like, what can I say or ask that will help them make a decision? Right? In the end question, prepare for what question you can ask them so that they can, select you. This is all basically how you plan and prepare, right? You could also like, what story could I share to illustrate the benefits of selecting me? It could be when somebody explains their role, right? You can use another success story saying that, okay, how this is so closely connected that I'm the right person. In an interview, I will talk this, tomorrow in a little more detail, but it depends who is holding the interview, you or the interviewer. I'll teach you a little over there, but this is something that you should remember. Right. When it comes to delivering a message, as I said, there are two things that you should do to be clear. One is plan and prepare. The second one is delivering message. It is important to ensure that words are framed properly and are delivered in the right pitch and tone, right? You structured the message properly and at a proper tone and a pitch which you're talking, so that it is not sounding as nervousness or or more aggressiveness. It is talking to the kind of point it is, right? It is advisable to avoid complicated sentence and jargons in your interviews. Don't use certain things that are like big jargons which they will feel. Suddenly interviewer might also don't know, he or she will feel, oh, and they will respond to you in a very different way. That's something you should avoid, right? It is important to establish an eye contact and to modulate the body language based on the message. The kind of message you give, your body language should support that, right? That's how it needs to be. So once you are clear about it, you would have automatically the required confidence will be there, which is what it should be. If you only work on the confidence, then you will go overconfident there and get back. So that's basically how you get clarity in your communication, when you plan and prepare and when you deliver the message right. So that's all for me today, and it's 7 o'clock, 7:02. I think 2 minutes extra I have taken. I'm sorry because I've started also, I think, a couple of minutes late. Tomorrow we'll talk more about interview game plan and facing tricky questions. If you people have any questions for me, you can ask, you can type those questions, and I'll be happy to spend a couple of minutes to answer that, or you can ask me in the next session as well. Any questions, anybody? People, you can chat. Did you all finding what I'm talking interesting? Are you all learning something new? Say yes or say no, whatever you feel. People type. Sharat says yes, no question, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Ruman, thank you. Swarup, say yes, thank you. Okay, Arvind, thanks. Good.
Sir,
Tell me, who's this?
sir, I'm Jamia.
Jamia, yes. Can you switch on your camera, please?
Okay.
I know. Yesterday, I remember. Don't worry.
Okay.
You are a bodybuilder.
Okay.
Tell me.
So the thing is, I was in an interview. So it was like the last person who I was attending to the interview. So then the interviewer was is in very fast to go to some place,
Correct.
and he was unable to take my interview properly, and he was just asking the what you're studying, where what are your grades, and after that he was telling like, okay, your interview is done, you can leave. So in that situations, like how we need to be impactful enough to say that I was also a potential person to get to the job.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the couple of things there. One, I would say it's a bad timing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why you are in the last place. Now it is human thing that people are stressed out till the end. So we try to avoid all these things. These are one side of it. I know this will not answer your question, but how would you create that little impact? See, people are stressed out because they've been doing the same thing from morning till evening. Now, if I would be the candidate who is coming last, right? Then I will tell them upfront, I'm sure you had a very tiring day and you've been talking to all of them. But I will try to ensure that, as much clear and informative I would be. At the same time, I would ensure that, you would also be equally, things. See, telling this point will suddenly bring them into attention that, okay, I am doing this. The second reason why people do it is, so this is something which happened practically. I'm saying it a little painful, but this is how it happens. I need 5 candidates and I'm interviewing say 50 plus candidates. I got my 5 candidates already, but I have to interview everybody because they have come and I need to do it.
Okay.
You got it? That's the situation where they will be like, ask certain things.
Yeah.
There are another reason when they will do like that. It is not even last. For example, when I get a candidate whose resume I read and I see there are some 10 mistakes there, right? Okay. Spelling mistakes, this, that. I already little irritated from this person because, he's not even spent that little time over there. Then and my job role, if it is very crucial to that, I will take it very light and quickly try to pass it. See, I told in the first class, cracking an interview is a process that starts from preparing for it and until we completely do it. So every step could be someplace. If you are in a situation where you are in the last, but you think you're a potential candidate, everything you have done right, crack a joke in the sense, say that I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, I was being the last candidate for, or the last but one candidate for the interview, but I'll give my best in next 15-20 minutes that you spend. And I'm sure you will also do the same. Tell them this line. They will be super attentive with you.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So we have Balu. Balu is asking me a question saying that, sir, please tell about listening for prominence detail. So prominence details, when I say, Balu, this is more of like critical listening, if at all, this is what you're trying to do. Critical listenings are where you're trying to connect. Now, this happens if the entire conversation you've been listening very carefully. When people try to say, especially when people try to say a no to you and they can't tell you so straight, right? They use a lot of messages to bring it to that. But what you need to do is, when you listen carefully, you need to understand what is the real problem. I'll tell you an example. You will understand it more clear. So we were training people to sell sofas, right? Sofa, in a store, an Urban Ladder. So when customer comes, they say, oh, this is good, but this doesn't have that. And they keep talking. People don't understand. The real problem is it is too expensive for them, but they can't tell it openly because if they tell openly too expensive, it's sort of a little insult, I can't afford that much sofa. So a listener will very, this prominence details they will give. I liked it, but looking at my days that, when they give so many messages, if you listen carefully, you will understand. Then you would say, suddenly you stop showing another sofa. You say that, by the way, I have not informed you, we have a Bajaj Finserv option as well, or we have this another other thing as well, which could connect. And suddenly you see conversation changes. So prominence details helps you in that way. Okay, I hope I answered Balu. Shubham asked, yesterday class recording, sir. The recordings you will get for all the classes once we finish the course. There is no fun in giving a little bit there. I was talking to Ashok. Once all classes are done, I will put all these sessions in one right place. And those people who have participated, I will give you a link to come there and visit whenever you want and how many number of times you want. Because once you have been part of it, you can always access to whatever I have said. Right. Any other questions? Wonderful. It's 7:10 almost.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Oh, who's this?
Mohammed Rasik.
Rasik, can you switch on your camera, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Hi, Rasik. Tell me. It's so nice to
Hello.
talk to you now.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Sir, my question is, the very first question the interviewer asks is please tell me about yourself. Okay, so how would you tell, how should I begin telling, or what all should be there, because I cannot drag it on for some 5 to 10 minutes.
Tomorrow is when we are talking about questions. I will teach you this. Don't worry. This is the important thing, because your entire thing depends on this question. See, because you asked, I'm telling you,
Yes, sir.
we all know this, that people going to ask this question. Tell me something about yourself,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Most
Yes,
80-90% people will ask. Now tell me, what have you prepared for that? If I suddenly ask you this question, tell me something about yourself. What do you think you will say? You asked me this question, so you should have prepared for the answer.
Yeah,
Now,
I would.
now your own answer, if you grade, put a score to your own answer. Okay, out of 10, for example, you are giving your answer 2. Give very little score.
Yeah.
Now work on how to make it 5. Same
Yes,
question. Once you get 5, work on how to make it 8.
Yes, sir.
Keep improvising. So the secret of this answer is how little words you use, and you cover more number of things, and you position yourself as you are the right fit for the job in the first question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Then
Yes.
the next question after this should be a chance for you to talk your success story. You have cracked it then.
Yes, sir.
So whatever you have thought about this answer, put it and give it 2. Right?
Yeah.
Don't
Yes.
feel bad. I'm giving less score.
No.
Give it for yourself
Yeah.
2. And
Yeah.
then think about it and see how to make it 5.
Yes, sir.
Then
Yes.
think about it and see how to make it 8. Then think how to make it 10. You will crack it,
Yes.
man. No doubt
Yes,
at all.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Cool. So let's catch up tomorrow then.